Afterward, Jesus returned to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish holy days. Inside the city, near the sheep gate, was a pool of Bethesda with 5 covered porches. Crowds of sick people, blind, lame, or paralyzed, lay on the porches. One of the men lying there had been sick for 38 years. When Jesus saw him and knew that he had been ill for a long time, he asked him, "Would you like to get well?" "I can't, sir," the sick man said, "for I have no one to put me in the pool when the water bubbles up. Someone else always gets there ahead of me." Jesus told him, "Stand up, pick up your mat, and walk." And instantly the man was healed. He rolled up his sleeping mat and began walking. Would you like to get well? Simple statement. Would you like to get well? And it's a question that we would grab a hold of and say, of course, I am unwhole. Would you make me whole again? I have some sort of disease or sickness. Would you make me healthy again? I am imprisoned or some way. Would you make me free again? Oh, it's a simple question. Would you like to get well? There's a story of a cowboy. He was out on the trail, and he comes along the trail, and there's this guy laying in the middle of the trail. He's got his ear to the ground. Guy comes up, "What are you doing?" There was a wagon. It was drawn by 2 horses. The horses were dapple gray. There were people in the wagon. There was 2 passengers. There was a man and a woman. The man was driving. The cowboy is amazed. He says, "That's incredible. How did you know all this? Just from putting your ear to the ground." He says, "No, they ran over me a half hour ago." Some of us feel like we have been run over. We've just been run over in life. Things just aren't as they supposed to be. It's definitely not how we wanted them to be. You feel like we've been run over. We're unhealthy. We're enslaved in some way. We're unwhole. This man that Jesus was talking to had been run over for 38 years. It didn't work as it was supposed to. His body didn't work as he wanted it to. He couldn't care for himself. His life is laying on a mat that's on the ground, waiting for other people to take care of him. That's the low rung of your society. That is not how we wanted it. But this week, after 38 years, this week is Feast Week in Jerusalem. This is the week where people from all over the world come to Jerusalem. Maybe it was the Passover, maybe it was one of the other feasts. And they come into Jerusalem and they come to the pools. Because it's important they do some ritualistic cleaning. Maybe they wash their hands or their feet. Maybe they wash their whole body. However it is, they used to have this. There's a pool of the Bethesda. You can go to Jerusalem and see it. It's still there. There used to be an upper cauldron or pool that would have all this water in, and it would trickle down into this lower pool and keep it fresh. And this man had been waiting for so long. See, this man was given some counterfeit cure. He was told that, if you read the passage here, verse 4 isn't listed in some of the versions of the Bible. But first, verse 4 says that it used to be that if the water was stirred up, that if people went in it, they would be healed. It doesn't tell like this person was healed. It was just this is the possible cure. Maybe some people were put in the water and they walked out and said, "Oh, I'm healed." However it was, maybe it was psychological, I don't know. But that was the cure that people were selling. If you stay here and you have somebody help you into the water when it's all swirled up, you'll be free of whatever ails you. But this was a counterfeit cure. This doesn't work as it is. See, we have to think about for ourselves, what are the counterfeit cures that we've been told? What are the ones that we've said, if you do this, everything will work well for you. You'll be free of whatever ails you, or the addictions you have, or your financial issues. You'll be free of those. What are your counterfeit cures? Doug was talking about the counterfeit cures that every political party tells you every November. Hey, you vote us in, we'll take care of everything. Everything. All your problems will go away. If you let this other guy in here, oh man, your world will go crazy and you'll have more problems. We're your solution. We're your cure. We have that. We have other cures of, oftentimes when you're going through relational issues, you have a friend. We always call them your friend. And they tell you, this is your cure. This is how you fix your relational issues. And sometimes your friends do not give you good cures. And it goes from bad to worse. There's lots of churches that give cures. You come to church and plant a seed, put your money in, and you'll be healthy and wealthy and wise. And that's your cure. Jesus offers everything that the counterfeits will never be able to deliver on. Because all of our counterfeit cures, they say this is the answer and it never delivers. Jesus says, would you like to get well? Would you like to get well? And Jesus appeals to your inner will. Like, do you really want to get well? Do you really want that? I have to say it this way, that some people don't want to get well. They just don't want to get well. Maybe you get to talk with the same people, but sometimes I get to talk with people and they're just in bad places. They're just in terrible places, whether it's I cannot talk about specific people, but the persons. Their family has said, hey, we're not doing this anymore. We're splitting. The family doesn't like them anymore. The kids have gone. They're losing their house. Their health is going in the dumper because their addiction or whatever issue that they're doing, it is just going crazy and their body's shutting down. They've lost their job a long time ago. This is a real situation that I've talked with. And I talked with this person. I said, what if you just stopped drinking? Well, that's a good idea, Matt. But I never saw him again. Some people don't want to get well. And the rule of thumb on this is that you can't force a person to get well. You can't want it more than they do. I struggle with this sometimes because I want them to have the freedom in life. I want them to be whole inside. I want the relationships to be healed. And they limit what God can do in their lives. No, God could never fix my life. He couldn't bring wholeness to my soul. I couldn't feel that forgiveness that only He could give. And they limit what God can do. The old joke is, how many psychologists does it take to change a light bulb? Anybody know this one? It only takes one, but that light bulb's got a one to change. It's that is the crux of it, where it's like, come on, I want you to be emotionally whole. I want you to be spiritually whole and relationally healthy. Do you really want that? And Jesus gets to His will. It's like, hey, do you really want to get well here? You've been here. Your body hasn't worked for 38 years. Do you want to get well? And the man just comes up with his excuses. I can't, sir. I can't. Someone always gets there before I can get there. I'm just not to the edge far enough. I can't get there. I'll never get well. I'm not sure what you can do. There's some people that we don't like to talk about this very often, but we know this to be true. They just haven't hit rock bottom yet. They still are trusting other things. Okay, maybe I want to get well, but my fallback is always here. I got other people I can rely on. And they haven't hit rock bottom yet to say, God, what will you do in my life? Will you change me? I am willing to let you work in my life. We haven't gotten there yet. And until that person sees Jesus as their only hope, they will stay where they are. And they will stay unwhole and unhealthy and still enslaved. And thankfully, Jesus brings healing to a person. And He provides that will. I know that you're still trusting in other things. I want to give you all that you need to respond to me. That all you need to do is to respond. All right, so you read this all with me. Did Jesus say, "Oh, you poor thing, I'll help you in the pool next time. We'll just, when the water's stirred up, I'll throw you in, and see if you swim." He didn't say that. He didn't even say, "Hey, hang in there, buddy. You'll be all right. Some way, somehow, maybe if you're right at the edge and that water's stirred up, you can just fall in and you'll be the first one in." Jesus didn't say that. Jesus didn't even say, "You know what? You look so uncomfortable by the pool. Let me get you another mattress that you can lay on so that you're at least more comfortable in your misery." He didn't say that either. Jesus says, "Stand up, pick up your mat, and walk." Well, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? He says to stand up. I haven't stood in 38 years. What if it doesn't work? Well, Jesus says to each one of us, He says, "I want you to risk it all." You've got all these counterfeit cures on your life and how to fix things in your life. Forget those. Risk it all with me. Risk it all with me. And even more, I want you to throw your other life behind you. Just throw it all back. Get rid of it. Because He says, stand up, pick up your mat. You're not laying here anymore. I want you to go with me. I want you to go walk. I want you walking with me. Are you tired of laying here? For 38 years you've been doing the same thing. It's not worked. Are you ready for something new with me? With me in charge of your life. I want you to burn the bridges. You're not going back again. Will you risk it all with me? I'm the way, the truth, and the life. This is where we're going. Would you risk it all with me? If you're here, you're most likely saying, "Man, I've been on board. I still struggle in some ways, but I've been on board with Jesus. I know that He's my only way. I'm with Him." But there's some people here that they're not convinced yet that Jesus is the only way, that He needs control of my life, that He can change things inside of me and in my world, that He can bring joy where there hasn't been joy in a long time. See, Jesus does the impossible. And that's His job. He does the impossible. There's friend of mine who uses this phrase all the time. It's that my worst day sober is still better than my best day drinking. And even when I think of my worst day in the world that I've been sober, it's still better than living my life just chained and enslaved and unwhole inside. And since I found Jesus, that is the joy in my life. Because He's there. You know, this man, all he had to do is say, okay, I'm going to risk it all and respond to this man who's bringing hope. I just need to respond. I don't need to do anything. I don't have to fix myself because I can't. That's impossible. It's been 38 years. My body's not working. I just need to respond to this Jesus person in front of me. Have you done that? Have you responded to Jesus with all of your addictions and all of your dysfunctions and all of the issues in your soul? Have you responded? There's a deeper answer that's also necessary. This man that Jesus heals, He says, stand up, pick up your mat, and go walk. Jesus had to find him later. He didn't just stay there because Jesus got out of the way. He went on his way, and the guy goes, where is he? I don't know. What was his name? I don't know. Because people were asking him, it was a Sunday, and they said, why are you walking around with this stuff? You can't do that. Well, the person who healed me said I should walk and pick up my stuff. Well, who was it? I don't know. Jesus finds him again. And He says, hey, now that you are well, now that you're well, stop sinning. Stop sinning, or something even worse will happen to you. Stop sinning. Once I come into your life, it's not something that you say, oh, I'll just keep going and sin. He says, no, something's different in your life. Keep me at the very center. Otherwise, it's worse things that you gain the whole world, but you lose your soul. What's the worst thing that could happen? That. You know, Jesus comes in and heals us sometimes physically, but definitely in our emotions and our relationships and our very soul. And some people want to be healed in their body, in the relational world, but they don't want anything to do with Jesus. And Jesus is saying, no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Stand up. Pick up your mat. This isn't where you're supposed to stay anymore. And go walk with me. Walk through life with me. See, the Christian life isn't a secret. It's just walking with Jesus every day. We want to complicate it so deeply. Oh no, I have to pray at least 3 times a day because you have 3 meals. What if I have 2 meals? Do I pray 2 meals? If I only eat 1, do I? And we try to complicate life with Jesus. We're just walking every day with Him. Doesn't matter where you go. You're just walking with Him. Doesn't matter what room you go into, you bring Him with you. Doesn't matter whose conversation you're in, Jesus is right there with you. We won't complicate it. You're walking through life. And some days we're so confident we're taking long strides and we're making great work. And some days it's like, man, I think I just took 2 steps, but I'm 3 steps back again. It's just a walk with Jesus. It doesn't matter how fast that you think you walk or how slow you're walking. You're just walking with Jesus. It's not a complicated thing. You know, as G.K. Chesterton, it's a great name, Chesterton. He says this it's not that Christianity has been tried and found wanting, but it's been tried and found difficult. It's a simple thing to walk with Jesus. It's difficult, though. It's difficult to go into every room you go into and say, I'm bringing Jesus with. It's difficult to open up your web browser and know that Jesus is watching with you as well. It's difficult to have a conversation with someone that you really don't like. I know that you don't have anybody like that in your world. But that Jesus is saying, I want you to pray for them. I want you to do nice things to them. I want you to love them as you love me. Will you risk it all by trusting Jesus? Not only just physically and living healthy-wise, and not only just in your emotional well-being and your relationships. Will you risk it all with your very soul? Jesus, I trust you that you are taking care of all of my sins. And I live for you. I'm walking every day with you. Would you like to get well? Would you like to get well? Jesus says, stand up, pick up your mat, and walk. I am going to bring wholeness into your life. Pray with me. Lord Jesus, it's us who have been lying by this pool of Bethesda. And we've been waiting to be healed. We've tried so many ways to find relief from our pain, from all of our hardships, and we hope somebody will help us. Yet we haven't listened to your wonderful voice that you might speak to our very soul. You call us to stand up, pick up our mats, and walk with you. Would you grant us ears to hear your voice today? And we pray this in your name, Jesus. Amen.